All right, I think we're live. Um, I am Jason Duff from Earl of Fife Games, and I am here to talk to you about a couple things. First thing we're going to talk about is this Kickstarter, this way, and it is Dungeons Deep and Caverns Old. Secrets of the Sacred Stone for Heroes and Hardships, our role-playing game. Um, you can see here we have about 9 days left. And yeah, we're funded. And if you're interested in dwarves, particularly, and heroes and hardships, then this is the supplement for you. It's part setting, part adventure, and part mechanical expansion. So, mechanics that will be included is a corruption system. The corruption system is something similar to what the One Ring might do to you, for instance, in Lord of the Rings, or 40k corruption and Warhammer Fantasy, that sort of thing. So that's in there. There'll be a couple new dwarven ancestry things that you can use. So new and updated dwarven ancestries, and of course there's an adventure and there's setting information as well. The setting stuff, not only is there a beginning setting section, but also there is a contextual third column. So that third column is more like a sidebar, and you will have stuff about the setting in there that relates to the adventure that's occurring on the page. So contextual information about that. Sometimes, okay, you can use this map. This is the handout you want, and that sort of thing too. So there's also like GM help in there as well. So that's all the dwarf stuff. That is November 14th is the last day. So um, if you're interested, please go and back now or take a look at the Kickstarter page and see if it's for you. There's going to be a backer kit pre-order as well as add-ons in backer kit and whatnot. So please go there, check it out, and back if you would like to. So yeah, so I was just on another live stream earlier today with people talking about role playing games and such, and I kind of like was thinking, "Oh, what could I talk about, and we didn't get to everything, but I just was hanging out. But there's a couple things I want to share some games with you that I really have been enjoying in the last couple years, particularly in playing, because one thing I'm very conscious about as someone who is making games is not to let myself only be stuck running Heroes and Hardships. And it's a tough thing because you want to run the games that you design to understand them better, to expand on what you can do with them, and all that stuff, right? But I feel um, as a designer and a GM, I would not be nearly as able to do some of the design work that I do if I only played in my own sandbox, in my own head. I think that's a relatively bad way to go about things, particularly for me, because you're never going to have every idea ever, right? And you can look at other games and get ideas from them and how it might work for you. Um, and I'm not saying to copy them. I'm just saying it might inspire you to do some certain thing, some certain way. Um, and I think if I just played and ran Heroes and Hardships all the time, um, it would be a problem. And yeah, there's a time issue that you're going to have to suck up as a designer um, if you're going to do other things. Like right now, And for the last several months, I have not run or played Heroes and Hardships at all. Um, and it gives you a break too, right? And I think that's going to last for a few more months at least. Um, and so, what have I been running? What have I been playing? Well, this is the game I've been running for the last few months. Okay. Um, I am really, really, really particularly these days, and very big fan of Warhammer 40K particularly. And this is what I've been running. Imperium Maledictum. I just got just the hardcovers are just brand new. This is basically kind of the spiritual successor to Dark Heresy, second edition by Fantasy Flight Games. This is by Cubicle 7, and it allows you to play, you know, humans, normal humans with a sphere of influence, from various different factions. You're just not inquisitorial agents like you are in Dark Heresy. You can be rogue trader, emissaries. There's a lot of things, right? Um, so I've been running that. Love it. I really like the system. I am using some of the optional rules because I'm not a big fan of zones. And zones are primarily what you see you see it a lot in 2D20 games, which I'm a pretty big fan of as well. And you do see a lot there, but I don't particularly like them. I feel actually it's the way I run games. I run them online primarily with VTTs. It makes it quite hard to sketch out what a zone is. It's easier to just say grid or hex grid or square grid and just have that just populate on automatically. I'm using Foundry for this. It's the only when I started there wasn't a Roll20 version, but so I'm using Foundry. It's working pretty well. The system's actually just in beta, but it works fine for what I'm using it for right now. Um, so it's good, and this is what I've been running. Um, so yeah, pretty happy with that. In the optional rules, I'm using square grids. So and but it's not that big of a change. Um, so what else have I been doing? So I've been playing a game too, and this is actually the first 5e campaign I've actually played in. And it's Dragonlance, and it's pretty cool. One of my play testers uh, and friends have wanted to run a 5e game, so we're playing that. So even a game which I have historically shied away from playing and shied away from you know doing much with. I'm interested in just like learning about it more. What is the mystique of this game? That people, are actually interested in. So I'm playing 5e. So I limit myself to about 2 games at a time. So that's what I'm playing and running. Next, I really don't know what it's going to be. I have a suspicion that one of our GMs is going to run. He's going to run L5R Fantasy Flight Games Edition, which I will play happily. I'm a big fan of L5R and all renditions, and probably this one too. I've read that book. I have that book somewhere. I kind of copied the cover style a bit of that game a bit, how it wraps around and it has half, and then on the outside back cover you have a vertical strip of some art. Anyway, so that's cool. As far as I might not be running a game at that time, but we'll see. But my next game that I am running is going to be Heroes and Hardships, and I do know what it's going to be. But um, just keeping that to myself right now. Now, talking about games that we're interested in and that I've had a good time playing or running in the last couple years. Let's just say this game is pretty cool. And you might not know this game, but you're going to know its more famous cousin. And this game is Paladin. Okay, and Paladin is about Charlemagne, and but it's very similar to Pendragon. It has it's a a dynastical game, um, and it shares a lot of the similarities of that really old BRP type system. And yeah, the system itself is kind of, it's dated a bit, and it's not. It doesn't really for combat. It's kind of rock paper scissors almost a little bit. But the game is fantastic. It just depends what you're looking for, right? Are you looking for a deep combat experience? Are you looking for a deep systems experience? Not really. Not for this game. You're really looking for, you know, is the what is going to drive you to this game? And it's the dynastical type of things in this game, systems that set that up, right? This is not a small game by any stretch of the imagination. It is a very very chunky game. Mm, Looks like, not counting all the character sheets. Oh my goodness, there's no page. It's about it's close to 500 pages. Um, so Paladin, check it out. Chaosium is who is selling this game these days. It's made by a French um, designer, but Chaosium has it now. It was by someone else, and I believe they passed away, and so Chaosium took it over. So uh, yeah, it's a good game. What else have I been playing? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Um, One game that I keep playing and I keep running and coming back to it is, pick this one. Um, Force and Destiny, all the FFG Star Wars games, Edge of the Empire, Age of Rebellion. So it's got the funny dice, right? People say, and some people really don't like that. I don't have a problem with it at all. It is it it is pretty elegant, and it really codifies how to do a narrative experience in games. How can you fail but succeed, or how can you succeed with consequences, right? And it's really kind of baked into these books in a way that makes it like quite easy. And it is a narrative experience, but it really does bring out the Star Wars in the game, and I really am a fan of it. I've played it a lot. I've run it a decent amount. Um, I'm a big fan. You won't find a lot of these books anymore because FFG and Edge Studio has really slowed down on making them and not really reprinting them. So it's hard to know why that is. Could be a license thing. But yeah, you can only get these in hardcovers. The PDFs, if you find a PDF, it's a scan. Um, I don't know. They don't create PDFs for these books specifically because of the license. So that's unfortunate, but it is what it is, I guess. What else? I'm trying to remember what I've played and run in the last little bit, which is kind of a hard task to remember. Um, and Kickstarter for some reason believes like that things are in Italian or German. It's strange. It's strange. What else? Oh, here we go. How about this guy? So this is an indie game. This hardcover is a print on a demand version. It's Demon Gate. So as you can just tell the reflection off of it because it's like it's not matte. But for a print on demand book, it looks really good. The art in it is quite good. Um, you do have the print on demand issues. It's glued spine, but it's um it's quite good. The game is fantastic, and it's by Brandon Williams. Arcanum Syndicate. He's a playtester for me as well and plays in our games and runs games for us. So highly recommended is Demon Gate Dark Fantasy. It's a its own system. It's called the Chaos system. It uses so combat primarily uses a D20, whereas skill checks use kind of like a ladder, and then it pools like you get based on what your skill plus your attribute is. You're rolling 2d8 or something like that, or 1d20 plus 2d8, some like kind of like that, you know, kind of like Cortex used to do. Um, Now I'm looking into my massive amounts of games over here. There are a lot of games that I have that I haven't played that I really want to play too. Anyway, let's kind of talk about um, how something was dusty. Um, how like some of these games has impacted Heroes and Hardships design. Well, one I can think of top. Well, obviously, I mean, we can't forget the granddaddy of them all, right? Um, the biggest influence on Heroes and Hardships is this game right here. Oops. Legends of the Five Rings, Fourth Edition. This is to me almost a holy grail of games. Um, there's not one thing I don't like about this game. Not one thing that I can think of. Um, to me, it is it is probably the most fun I have, both in a setting and a system combined. Um, I love D10s that explode. I love the lethality of this game, especially for a game that has hit points, wounds in this case. Um, it's still very lethal. Okay, and was the first game I think I played, not this one, but probably third edition, where when you were hit, it impacted your actions. So what I mean by that is you take an injury of some sort and it makes you worse at things. It like blew my mind, right? It's like how can and I was used to playing like D&D 3.5 and those games where you have endless amounts of hit points, and it blew my mind, right? And I've always wanted a game that allowed me to do that, right, in some way. Now this one is basically if you're not familiar, you take some sort of hit point damage, and based on how much you start with, like your maximum, when you hit certain thresholds, you get worse at things. It's just a static modifier: -3, -5, -10, -20, -40. Um, so Heroes and Hardships, fourth edition. If you are selling fourth edition books, let me know. I'll probably buy them. I'm trying to complete my fourth edition collection. I have all the third edition books, but fourth edition. So yeah, this edition is not made anymore. It's the FFG edition, which does use the custom dice. Um, I'm not sure where that book is. It's around here somewhere. But this game right here is, to me, perfection, or as close as it comes. I can't think of any. The one thing it would be, if you could take this. Well, I kind of did it right when I made a generic system. I always wanted to be like, well, what if you didn't have to pick your clan, or because I had done that. I did this a lot, right? I was like, how can I use, L5R for some other setting, right? And this is before I was, really doing anything. And I was like, well, these clans get this many skill points, and they get, you know, y- you you get this attribute boost. You usually get two, one for clan and one for school and or family, and one for school. And I was always trying to figure out how I could, you know, do something else with it. And I made a game. So yeah. Um, but yeah, so that is obviously, and those who know, it does very similar things to the dice pool that Heroes and Hardships does. There's a little difference in how those work. One that I can think of is you can roll way more than you keep in L5R if you want. So that happens a lot in weapon damage. So you roll weapon damage as well. So you roll your attack, and then if you hit, you roll your weapon damage, and your weapon damage is usually your strength plus the weapon, and the weapon your strength, and that's like rolled. So your rolled would be like your so say you had strength 3 and then you had the weapon did 2k1, so you would do 5k1, right? So and they explode. um, but I went a little different way with that, and basically on a mathematical principle that you're almost likely to always get 10 in those instances. So yeah, I just didn't do that. But um, anyway, I did things a little different, but it's definitely a huge inspiration for me. Um, so yeah, what else? Gosh, um, I really do love the 2D20 games. I really like that. It's a game with a lot of meta currency, which I really hadn't seen a lot before the 2D20. It kind of I like games that do different things too. It has a lot of meta currency, right? You have player meta currency and you have GM meta currency. And when I say meta currency, what I'm talking about is doom or threat and momentum in 2D20 terms. So ways to impact your dice rolls, that sort of thing. I do like that it's a dice pool system. You're rolling multiple die. You're rolling multiple d20s. D20 is a very swingy dice, as a lot of people know, right? It doesn't matter really how good I am at something. I can still just roll just terrible because it's just so swingy. And percentile die are very similar to that as well. Anytime you're rolling one result, you're going to get this swinginess. Um, but yeah, so I do like that. What else? What else can we talk about? What other games? I have such an eclectic. I like so many different games. So I just wanted to talk about some of those other games out there that I think that and there's a lot of them, right? It's not like I'm besides Paladin and Demon Gate, everything else is pretty well supported and um, big games, right? And so I like indie games, I like big games. But yeah, so I don't really have much else to say. I think I just wanted to talk to you guys today about, you know, um, the Kickstarter, the games that, inspired me, particularly 4th edition L5R. And if you're interested, I do suggest checking out many games as you can, and just giving it a whirl and seeing what's out there that you might not have experienced. And yeah, that's really it for this video. Please check out the Kickstarter, and I appreciate your time. Thanks.